All right, man. We look like we live, man.
Let's do it.
How you feeling?
Episode 9, baby. Let's do it.
We in there. We in it.
9 is a special number, bro.
It is.
Yes,
College
sir.
number.
Yes, sir. 9 gonna slide, baby.
9 gonna slide.
Yes, sir.
It's good to be back, man.
Indeed.
Last week, Memorial Weekend.
Yes, sir.
Family reunion for your boy.
Indeed. How was it?
It was dope.
Okay.
I think it was one of the biggest turnouts we had in a long time. Like, I think they said 130.
Nice.
Yeah,
That's a
130
good number.
people. That's
Wow.
a good number.
Organized events.
Organized.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. we do it once a year, man.
That's
so,
a blessing, bro.
Last year was a cruise. That was the best one.
Okay, where I went?
I don't know, man. We was on something, but yeah, I think we stopped at 3 destinations.
Okay.
And
Indeed.
then I just think overall that experience, it was
For sure.
pretty dope.
Indeed.
Yeah, man. What you got for us in today's news, man? What's out there?
Man. Well, on a personal note, we did the pizza giveaway round 2 yesterday.
Yes, sir.
Went excellent, man. Had a lot of feedback. Majority were teenagers, as far as just asking questions or whatnot. And as we talked about before we got rolling, we're gonna do a lunch and learn on our next event.
Okay.
Probably focusing on financial literacy, that being such a big thing, a hot topic, and just simplifying it, and then of course get somebody to cater it then or get my sister, my mom to throw it down and pass out some hot plates and only need 30, 45 minutes. That's it, and dive into it. So we'll see, man. We're excited for the future, bro.
That's dope, man.
Indeed.
It's good that you do that, bro. And I was telling my pops the other day, pizza is like the easiest thing that has the best nutrition.
Oh,
you know what I'm saying? Fill up your calories, right?
Okay.
Because a lot of people are in a calorie deficit.
For
So
sure.
the bread, the cheese, the meats,
Yes,
the
sir.
sauce, like
Yes,
all
sir.
that's a part of the whole little pyramid.
Indeed.
That's good, bro. I love
Appreciate
that.
you, man.
I love that.
Indeed.
Love that, man.
And then of course church today.
Yeah.
Church went well. They had
I ain't make it, bro. But go ahead.
they ordained 40 new ministers.
Wow.
Today. So it was different to see that. It was actually inspirational from a spiritual standpoint, just to see, the development of the church, and being a part of it. So that was excellent to see, man. So just, stand down, bro.
Yeah.
One day at a time, baby. Stacking days.
What was the message though today at church, bro?
Now, surprisingly, there wasn't actually a sermon. I think there was a sermon on the 9 o'clock service. 11 o'clock was more so the worshiping side, and then the bishop, who's the founder. Of course, there was an offering that was discussed, and some motivation behind that. But he more so was pouring into the new ministers and just talking about their responsibility and how let's get back to the foundation of what church is. Giving people grace. Of course, coming with the educational side of spirituality, and just treating others as family. That was the biggest thing. Just emphasizing what is the true purpose of church, and not being so how can I say it? I guess so uppity or looking down on others. For whatever given reason, talking about your car, your clothes, where you live. None of that plays a part in the foundation of what spirituality is.
Right.
Being a Christian is. So that was much appreciated because he don't really preach like that. That's why he got the senior pastor since the start of the year.
Okay.
So it was good to get a change of pace and to get that OG perspective. As far as seeing the shift and where church is going. And then he also talked about something he felt as if is pending, far as a global crisis, to where a lot of people are gonna run to that very same church that they take a blind eye to now. So I was just happy to be in the place. Feeling as if I'm in the right, at the right location at the right time. So
That's dope.
But that was pretty much it. So overall, it was enjoyable, man, for sure.
That's dope, man. And I was thinking on the word grace, man. Grace is something that you give somebody even when they don't deserve it.
Oh, man.
But we could transition that into the dating scene.
Gotcha.
Right? If you think about giving somebody grace, as they say, the dating scene got piss in it.
True indeed.
True indeed. But man, I think it's a lot of moments nowadays when it comes to dating that you got to give people the benefit of the doubt, right? Their experiences is how most times they approach meeting somebody new.
For sure.
And then I think also in the light of what they seen growing up as far as dating, all that exposure adds up to where we are now in this time and period.
Right.
Our parents You know, they come from a total different era of dating.
I agree.
Right, because it was more courting your woman.
Mm-hmm.
Courting still goes on in today's
Right.
world, but you know, courting your women differently. A lot of women ain't have the jobs that they have now.
Right.
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 So boom. So as we fast forward, we get to maybe what 70s, 80s, 90s.
Right.
Women out here thriving, degrees,
Mm-hmm.
etc.
Mm-hmm.
Making a lot more money than
Shout out to
some
the
men.
ladies. Shout out to the ladies. Yeah. Yeah.
Making a lot more money than a lot of men. Right. So
For sure.
now it comes to the play of what's the standard?
What's the standard?
Who sets the standard?
Yeah. This
Now,
is good. This is a hot topic, man.
It's very hot. So, and standard could be financial standards.
Right.
So who's paying for the date, who's not?
Right.
Who's taking over housing expenses? Who
Right.
pay for trips?
Yeah.
There's so many. It's
He-
a gray area though.
Here go the
It's a
big
huge
one.
gray.
Oh, I don't do 50-50.
I don't know if you want to touch on that
Woo,
one today.
I'm ready to dive deep,
You
bro.
want to dive in on that one?
Not necessarily, but
Okay.
with service level, for sure.
Okay, yeah, because you know we ain't trying to divide right now. We trying
Let's go ruffle some feathers,
yes,
bro.
we trying to bring us together to solve this dating crisis. I think it's a dating crisis.
I believe so too.
Because me personally, in the last couple of years, bro, like you can go on like 40 dates in a year, maybe more.
On about, yeah.
An average date, about 200,
Oh, for sure.
maybe more.
Depending on the
where
venue.
you-
Depending on the venue.
on where
Oh
you
yeah.
go, right? So,
Oh yeah.
shoot, 40 times 200, $8,000. Oh.
Some good math, good man.
Yeah.
I'm a criminal justice major, so. Hey, all the math on top of your head like that.
Yeah. So let's dive into it, man.
Indeed.
Who sets the standard? So,
Man.
what you got?
Well, just to give my take on it, I think the man kind of sets the tone. Let's start there.
Sets the tone,
You
for
know,
sure.
when you talk about the initial pursuit,
Right.
you know, the initial interest,
Mm-hmm.
the initial attraction, and a lot of things things we hear now is women. A lot of things I hear women say now they want to see a man lead.
Mm-hmm.
So that's relative to the venue,
Mm-hmm.
you know, the itinerary for tonight, you know,
Mhm.
from start to finish. And if nothing else, I think they just want to see a confident man, you know, far as, you know, whether it's the way that you dress, the way that you speak, you know, your goals in life, what you're trying to get done. And I actually saw a young lady make a post. I think she went to FAM. I can't remember her name off the top of my head, but I think she's from Nigeria, if I'm not mistaken. But she talked about the dynamic of women making more money than men.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's a big dynamic, and that's the biggest change from our dads back in the day to present day, because you're dealing with a woman that make more money than you in some cases, that may be a little bit more accomplished in some cases.
And guess what? Not to cut you off real quick, and what that does is we're now scrambling as men,
Okay.
because if we looked at brothers, dads, uncles back in the day,
Right.
we only know that way. So now
Right.
we're learning.
Right. For
And
sure.
the thing is, I think on the flip side, I don't. Maybe they are. I don't think the women is giving the men grace based on that.
Yes. That's a good point.
Yeah.
That's a major point.
Yeah.
Because I think, okay, so to that point of the grace part, I think social media is the variable here.
Mm-hmm.
Because if a woman has 20 DMs, in her mind, she may be thinking,
False
oh,
prophets, first of all.
it's not reality.
Yeah.
And let's just say these men are from different cities throughout the United States. What's the reality of this, you guys actually meeting in person?
Mm-hmm.
Or if somebody just DM you beautiful with hearts, how concrete is that?
And then they screenshot it and be like, "This is my standard." Right? Now look, and see, a lot of times I think also men, we don't show and tell like that.
Right.
It's like
Right.
it's kind of like, I ain't want to say secrecy, but it's
Right.
like we're getting the attention, but
Right.
sometimes we want to showcase it differently.
Indeed.
But go ahead, you can finish your point.
Indeed.
My bad.
But no, I think the biggest thing, man, is just, there's a social media variable that plays a part in it.
Mhm.
And then I just think that, you know, although a woman can make more money, or
Mhm.
let's just say, for example, she makes a high salary.
Mhm.
She's a homeowner.
Yeah.
She has a business. dresses nice, got herself together. Let's just say she went and got a BBL. Oh well, as long as it match. That's with your legs. I'm saying that's fine. But I just think with that particular woman, for me at least, speaking from my perspective, if we are going to engage in a friendship, let's go about it with a humble approach. Don't think that your excuse me language, your shit don't stink. No, for sure, we all flawed. Don't matter what it is. And then on the flip side, I'm just as competitive. I created several businesses. I have multiple degrees. I've been employed over 10 years. So you got to come at me a certain way. You can't just, there needs to be there needs to be recognition on both sides. And think about it. Ideally, if both parties are level-headed and grinders and hustlers, how can, in this economy, you need to. That's just what it is. And as we talked about before, if you was on your job, if you are in your mid-30s and you came out the gate from college to present day, you're making between 80 to 120.
Right.
This is where you are. And if you're in South Florida, hello, you're underwater.
Right.
That's just what it is. So why not meet somebody that make 100,000 as well, to where y'all can create that life together, without thinking about what I may be missing out on, And I just think it just need to be intentional on both sides, man. And nobody's perfect. We're both flawed in how we may be going about things, but it's just the reality of you cannot do it by yourself.
Okay.
And as you age, you want somebody who has an interest in you. You do, no matter who you are in life. You want somebody. You want to have. I would say, in studying men that are married, there's pride attached to referencing your wife.
Yeah. And how long y'all been together?
Indeed.
Yeah.
Now, granted, I may not have that story, from my early 20s or teenage years, but I can start now. But I know what I want. And going back to one of our other sessions, in conclusion, there's a distinction between the attraction and the compatibility.
Right.
And you have to find a balance between the two. I don't need a chick that got a BBL. It ain't gotta be that. For example, I'm gonna just be transparent. I saw a young lady in church today, man, with glasses on. This was it for me. It just, between the leaving out of church, I just didn't have the patience. But without actually speaking with her, just from a physical standpoint, and not saying that all people, if you wear glasses, you're a nerd, but there's some intellect attached to it, I would hope. And boy, I thought I had one. But that's in conclusion. That's my take on it.
Yeah. And so, in alignment with social media, because it comes from both sides, as we mentioned before, right? So, whether a guy has 3-4 women in his inbox, talking about dating, living in different states, different countries, the access that you have nowadays, bro, you become jaded. It's like, okay, if I ain't getting conversation over here, I know I'm gonna go to date. Right. And don't get me wrong, it helps pass your day. It might help you in skill building with how to continue to bond with somebody. But it becomes a time of day where it's now, I want something that's mine, that's stable, that has that foundation that I'm looking to stay with. Right. And if we relate it to communication too, bro. Let's be honest. Texting ain't it.
It's a preference.
It is a preference, but let's call a spade right now. I can text you and 5 other people at the same time.
I was just about to say there's just to quickly respond to that. There's an intentional act related to being on that phone.
It is.
Or a FaceTime. There's intentional.
It's
more
intentional, bro. You see facial expressions. Where your attention focus might be at. Can you hold a conversation?
Indeed.
Right?
Indeed.
And that's where I think the real bonding starts. Especially for me. I work a varying schedule. One day I'm working at 8 to 5, next day I can be 2 to 11.
Gotcha.
So my time with availability doesn't always look the same.
Gotcha.
So you taking the time, or I'm taking the time out to have a conversation with you on the phone. 20, 30 minutes to out of the day sometime.
Right.
Snapshot.
Right.
But it's creating that thing like, dang, I ain't talk to EJ today.
Gotcha.
Instead of just, you can schedule a text message to be sent out.
Oh yeah, I've experienced that.
No, so imagine you got hella game, bro. Like,
oh, for sure.
people planners nowadays, right? Everybody, they content creators, they got planned releases on everything. Let me plan this text message. I'm every morning sitting at 11 a.m. Bam. You think the person thinking about you? No, man.
All game.
That's automated, man. Chat GPT. It's automated. So it like that old school feeling of picking up the phone.
Right.
That's what it takes. I think dating nowadays to the next level.
For sure. Conversation rule of nation.
Yeah. And I think on the women I might have, messed up on because of that sense. It's like, man, like I'm busy, just text me. And now I'm looking back like, damn, this one married, this one elevated. And I seen the elevation that I wanted to have with that person, but I slipped up.
Gotcha.
So, and then that's when you start to self-doubt and all these other things start to circulate, bro. So.
And I'll piggyback right quick. I think sometimes us as men, I ain't gonna make a general statement, but I think a lot of times it takes time to know what you even want in a woman. A lot of course, the first part is the attraction part, but then as you mature, you want something that has the attraction and the intellect, because the intellect is what's gonna raise the babies. The intellect is what's gonna keep your interest. It ain't necessarily, the physical aspect, because those things are gonna naturally just fade. Yeah. So, to the point of feeling as if I missed out on this one, I missed out on that one, I think it's just season and timing. And as I was listening to a quarter interview with Shannon Sharp interviewing 2 Chainz. 2 Chainz been married for a while with Keisha, and I think he got 2 kids. And he was, and he asked him, how does being married, is there a conflict with your career? Because most rappers, how they emphasize being single and being outside. Right. And that's basically what he said. Oh, I've been outside. I know what that's like. But it's nothing like the stability and the loyalty attached to being married. Right. And the years and the history that he has with his wife, So although I think we're still at a young age, bro. We're still in our mid-30s.
Yeah, listen. Yeah. Like in history, as we know, when we talk about statistics, most men, outside of the era that we in now with social media and all that, most men really don't get it going until their 30s, bro.
Gotcha. Okay, so
most millionaires as far as men are made in either mid to late 30s or 40s.
Gotcha.
So like
we're in a good area, we're in a good space.
We're in a good space.
Gotcha. And I think it's more just re-emphasizing my point. We have more clarity. There's a clearer lens far as matching what that mate ideally looks like, and it's just a matter of time for it appears. Yeah. And you got to manifest it too.
100%. And then I also think it's acceptance. Okay. So, and I thought about this morning, like all the times where I'm starting to think about certain aspects of what I wanted life to be, where I think I should be at. Gotcha. I started to go down this rabbit hole, but the minute I'll be like, man, F that, bro. I'm good. Right. I started to elevate, mind clear, all of that. So I think acceptance is a big part in helping you find your way, find yourself, and then have clear judgment, clear discernment, as we mentioned.
For sure, indeed.
But so along the lines of dating, what if you're not in a financial position to date? Should you date?
Well, it's a hot topic right here. Yeah. In my personal opinion, you have to be transparent with the space that you're in the season that you're in. And if that transparency comes with vulnerability. A lot of men don't like to be vulnerable in any phase of life. If you feel as if this is your wife, and I'm getting this from, I'm taking this from various sources. Yeah. One guy in particular, Jason, I think if I'm not mistaken, Jason Wilson. It'll come to me, man.
That's the guy who be speaking in the car?
No, the black guy with the full beard. It'll come to me, man. But he's deep on speaking about masculinity and redefining masculinity. Okay. And I believe that naturally, and I made a post today about it, if you speak to somebody and they give you their road to success and they never highlight none of their hardship chapters, for lack of a better term, they're full of shit. That's just what it is. In life, you're going to go through some sort of hardship, some sort of setback. And if you meet your wife...
That's what I thought you were talking about. But no. But if you meet your wife, what?
Guys, if you feel as if the woman that you meet is wifey material and this could potentially be the person, at some point you're going to have to be vulnerable with that woman. And it may just be a season that you're going through. These are biblical terms as well. This is something that's presented in church. You're not going to have just great years, man. You may make a bad investment. You may lose your job. You know, there's going to be different things that happen that may be out of your control. I just think you need to date on your level. As Ocho Cinco say on Nightcap, if you see that woman, if you're pursuing that woman, let's just throw in social media, and you see the lifestyle that she's living, if you know you can't maintain that or supplement in any efficient way, leave that woman alone. Just leave her alone, bro. You just can't. Because naturally, women are expensive. Whether it's the perfume, the trips, their clothes is relatively cheap.
Yeah, they don't fashion over now.
Yeah, so it's nothing. Yeah. But it's just, there's expectations attached to interacting with a woman consistently. Yeah. And you just gotta be, you have to find a middle ground that you're, because I mean, as you said, your average date is $100 to $200, depending on, let's just say $200. If you know you're not prepared to spend $200 at least 2 or 3 times a month with that woman, in between, you know, going to your park or on the phone or whatever may happen, leave that woman alone. You just gotta find a comfort level with what you desire and what you can afford. That's just my take on it. That's my take.
That's strong. Financial expectations. I will say I do set a budget aside for dating. 100%. Gotcha. Like that's already calculated after my bills. Okay, what I got left, save cash. Okay, boom. I'm gonna dedicate this amount to dating. 100%.
I've never done that.
I started it last year, bro. Cause I'm like, man, I didn't realize how much I was spending on dates. So then I was like, okay, let me switch it to this one card. I put everything on the Amex.
Gotcha.
And then I'm like, damn, I went $1,200.
Yes, sir.
So now I try to budget the dates and not to be cheap.
Gotcha.
Just because I want the conversation to be something first.
For sure.
But in alignment with that, I think you have to, as you said, like men sets the foundation. You have to be proactive with setting the date.
Oh, for sure. Because
even through the text and the phone calls or whatever, they be want you to plan, bro. And I'm like, man, I don't be thinking about no restaurants to go to. Right. I ain't like that. Yeah. But I'm getting to that space now. Gotcha. Like, hey, Tuesday night I get off at 5. Let's meet here. There it is. Right. Like you just gotta take that initial jump.
I agree.
But with the financial expectations, I think it's tough, man, because you want what you want.
I agree.
So
I agree.
Okay. It's one. I'm not gonna call this social media person name out, but gotcha. I know the person that she dates.
Okay. You know the person that she dates.
Yeah.
Okay.
They ain't got it. Right. So now I'm viewing it from the lens. Okay, like what is it? What makes that dynamic work?
Gotcha.
And I don't know. So do I shoot my shot at somebody who already taking them trips every month that I know I'm not ready to spend that money on trips, right? Because I like what I see.
Gotcha.
You see what I mean?
That's a tough one. So you know a woman that has a man, you know the man ain't got it, and you trying to see, is there a window of opportunity for me to step on in?
Nah, not with her. I'm saying in general, if I see something that I like,
gotcha,
that's living above where I'm living at with my lifestyle. That's what I mean. I'm not trying to slide in on board.
Gotcha.
Nah.
It's a decision you gotta make, bro.
But that's what I'm saying. So I think everything is a gray area. So like I don't want anybody to limit what they want to go after. Right. So yeah, you know you might be bringing in what let's say average man right now about $3,000 a month cash flow. You know what I'm saying? So after your bills, you know, you might have a little bit of.
So from a salary standpoint, what's that? 40K?
Nah, I think
on an average.
So 3 times 12, that's 36.
36.
Yeah. So
that's gross and net we talking about.
So I'd say they probably make about 60.
The average man.
I think so. You think more?
We have to Google that one.
We might have to Google that one. Yeah.
I would say maybe probably 45.
45.
Yeah, because it's the dynamic of are they in a corporate space or they went the public route or private route.
That's right.
Are they educated or are they non-educated? Did they go the vocational route, or it's a lot of variables that come into it. And again, I'm only speculating. I'm going off, my profession. I would say probably 45 to 50,000 is maybe the average. What you say?
Google overview, AI overview says 65.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So you was on point.
Yeah,
okay.
65.
All right, man. Yes, indeed. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I mean, and theoretically, in this economy, that's still, kind of challenging.
It's tough. Yeah, it's
sure.
definitely gonna be challenging. But I think it's if we're relating it to two incomes,
right?
As you mentioned,
right.
Starting the foundation, a man can still lead.
For sure.
You might not be able to get all of the galore that you're looking for,
right.
but like that man supports you. So, and this goes back to now values. Like, what do you value in a relationship?
Mm-hmm. For sure.
Is it just the gift giving, or is it support, care, communication, all of these different things?
Right.
But
and her love language plays a part in that as well.
100%.
But what woman don't want gifts? Yes.
Right.
They all want gifts. That's just the reality. And then I'll add this in too. I think that going back to the social media influence, a lot of times we see these ladies, and we could throw men in there as well, that's taking these extravagant trips, or that's traveling frequently. But we don't know what's the connection of these trips. Well, we don't know the seed money attached to how they're going about these trips. So I think that's the unfortunate part about it. First of all, comparison is the thief of joy. And then secondly, if you don't know where the money's derived from for them to be able to maintain that lifestyle, because people take chances every day. I work in criminal justice. I've been pretty open about that. People commit crimes every day. That's just what it is. And a lot of it is fraud related. And let's speak on it. In South Florida, this is, not even South Florida, in Florida, this is a rampant issue because people are taking criminal chances to live a certain lifestyle. Whether that's the clothes, the designer, the trips, etc. And there's also, in my opinion, I think it's a sad space that we're in because these particular individuals are glorified. So the person that ain't never had a job has more street cred or looks and is in a better light than somebody that had a job for 10 years that may be making 80,000, but he can only take one trip a year, but he's a family man taking care of business. But this dude that got on 8 chains and a pair of Jordans, he get 1,000 likes, but my man posts, he going to Denny's with the family, he get 2 likes, whatever it is. But it goes, again, it's the false validation, so, but that's just my take on that, bro.
Yeah. So, and to conclude this time, I think financial expectation does matter.
Indeed.
You should budget your way into, into what you're getting into.
Right, for sure.
So as you say, if it's 3 to 4 dates a month, or 3 to 4 dates, add in 2 more happy hours. You know what I'm saying? Because you gotta choose.
Yeah. Happy hours clutch.
Happy hours clutch, right? Hell,
yes,
even Sunday brunches have deals.
For
you know what I'm saying? So
Indeed.
I think it's definitely ways to still give that woman the expectation of, hey, here's how I see you, here's how I want to treat you.
Gotcha.
With a bit of a tight pocket. It's
Indeed.
still out.
You make it an investment.
Yeah.
But you got to present it as such.
Yes.
Yeah. So that matters. Yeah.
But now, if we go in a step deeper, so now you think about the flowers.
Mm-hmm. That's 20 a pop. 20. That's on the low end.
That's on the low end. Trader Joe's, right?
Right.
Yeah, I think now it turns into you might have to pick up a second job.
Yeah. 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 It's gonna be some sacrifice.
Yeah.
And again, I will emphasize it's all contingent upon where you see yourself with that woman.
Mm-hmm.
If this is just fun, then let it be fun. But if this is a long-term commitment, as a man, you have to plan. Everything you're telling me is what I'm hearing is preparing for the pursuit, preparing for the receiving the blessing, and then sustaining the blessing. That's either gonna be a year or 20 years. And it's all contingent upon effort in how diligent you are in sowing So you basically, it's an investment.
Yeah.
It's from a monetary standpoint, emotional standpoint, physical standpoint. It's a lot. It ain't just dating us. You think just because y'all hanging out and that, no. That woman's spirit, energy, thought process, mindset, it's a lot. It's a lot.
I think, though, dating for fun gets you in more financial stress.
For
than a
sure.
relationship. Okay, I just want to.
For sure.
Because you said that, I just want to make sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I mean, I'm just being transparent about it. Let's just say, for example, there's a Starbucks at downtown near where I work at, and if I see a young lady in there who, from an attraction standpoint, meets the criteria, she may even meet she may even from an intellectual standpoint meet the criteria as well. But there may be something about her that I'm like, oh, this is just gonna be fun. Whether that's too many kids, her background, the way she carries herself, whatever it may be. There's going to be something that transpired to make me say, okay, this is only going to be fun. And vice versa. Both parties can do that. Mm-hmm. And I know I'm a big component of, let's just say, for example, we're going 4 days. Throughout that entire time, them 4 days, if she don't never come out of the pocket for nothing, even if it's something small, oh, I'm done. I'm done, fam. I'm big on that, man. Like, okay. I'm just done, bro. Because okay. I met women that I've been blessed to experience women. That's just what it is. Yeah. Whether she make $30K or she make $200K. Yeah. Whether she owns her own business in the corporate space, private space, or whatever. If a woman likes you, she's going to do something for you.
You don't feel it.
That's if it's a chocolate chip cookie.
You don't feel it.
Or it's a new pair of shoes.
Yeah.
If she likes you, she's going to do something for you. But if you're the only person coming out your pocket, sad to say, big dog, you just a paymaster, man. She's having a good time, player. So, but that's through experience. That's through experience, man. So, but that's just my intake, my take on it.
Okay, so, wow. I think that's a great transition into the 50-50 thing, though.
Oh, yeah.
So,
ooh.
All right.
It's a hot one. It's a hot topic.
All right, so, and I'm going to paint the picture, though. So, you're dating.
Right.
You meet a woman that you like.
Right.
You already have a house.
Gotcha.
She's renting.
Gotcha.
She moves in.
Gotcha. What we doing?
What are we doing? Are you continuing your financial situation? Mm-hmm. Or are you sitting down at the table and be like, okay, babe.
Okay, this goes to the title of today's episode.
Yeah.
Setting the standard.
Okay. Which
requires a conversation. Mm-hmm. For myself personally, if I'm in position of where I'm the homeowner, my name is on the deed. Mm-hmm. You move into the residence. Mm-hmm. In theory, yes, I want you to have some financial freedom. Naturally, that's how men should be.
Yeah, build yourself up.
But if you think you about to stack your paper in this residence for a number of years and don't pay for nothing, I'm too wise. I'm not gonna let it happen. Of course, I want you to enjoy.
You say you're too wise?
I'm too wise. I say I'm too wise. To
let
wise. You just stack. Yeah.
I thought you said I'm too wise.
No. I'm too wise. I'm not gonna just let you stack your paper.
Okay.
And I've actually experienced this. One of my guys, one of my buddies up in Atlanta, paying for everything. Everything was Gucci. She had a job, and all the while she was preparing to leave him. Basically that's just what it was.
Damn.
Whole time. The whole time preparing to leave him. So, and not saying that one situation has swayed my decision, but it's a team. You guys are naturally a team going into the 50-50 umbrella. Now, naturally, as a man, it's for one, honesty needs to happen, transparency, vulnerability. What do you make, sir? You need to state this.
Yeah.
If that woman is making 10 times what you making, come on, with all the give you the big bill. Come on, man, stop it. Stop it. You can't afford it. But if you're in a space where this is already your residence, and what comes to mind for me, and not to be too long-winded, is I not only want to have that one residence, let's go get another residence as well at some point. That's going to bring in additional income. But that requires, again, a conversation. So if we were to talk about just percentages to conclude, if I'm making more money or we making the same, we're not going to do the 50-50. I don't mind. If I got to take the 70-30, If I got to take the 80-20, fine. I want you to enjoy yourself. I want you to feel that life is more comfortable with me being the man of the house.
Mm-hmm.
That's fine.
Yeah.
But if you think you're going to stack your paper the entire time and you ain't making no financial investments while we're supposed to be a team, nah, I'm getting beat over the head. Nah, you pissing on me telling me it's raining at that point.
Yeah.
Nah, not happening. So those are just my initial take on it.
No, I mean, them all good points. I think I do relate it to kind of who's the breadwinner in the relationship, right? So whether, you know, you're coming in, you're renting, already on the house, okay, boom. You can breathe a little bit.
Right.
Okay, but first vacation might be on you.
There it is.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and that
give
goes
and take.
back to show me that you want me in a different light too. So,
Indeed.
I mean, you said most of the points I feel very similar about, you know, the 50-50, 75-25 conversation.
Right.
Right? It has to be a conversation.
Indeed.
It has to be full vulnerability and transparency. I think knowing sometimes where somebody kind of spend their money too. Like being able to understand what their vices are, all that has to come into play. But I think before you even get to the point of somebody moving in, you hopefully already seen that and know those type of things. But yeah, I think if I'm moving in with somebody who's a social media influencer, and I'm gonna keep using them because, you know, they got the target on their back with the money. Like they put the money in your face. Right. Sure. So yeah, you making $10 million a year.
Oh wow!
You see, I'm a 9-to-5 guy. You approached me.
Right. Come on now.
You know what I'm saying? So, what you want?
Right. But see, okay. So what we just did, you shift the dynamic.
I did.
Right.
I had to.
For sure. And to be honest, I'm gonna be transparent. I've been in that seat.
Okay.
As I said before, I went through the home buying process twice.
Mm-hmm.
Student loans. This wasn't discussed to me. So was my intent for the dynamic to shift? No. But that's just how it's set up. Mm-hmm. But eventually I went back to my thought process of, okay, today's date, this is the dynamic. But in theory, I want us to have an investment property as well. We shouldn't just have a primary residence and this is what we're gonna do for 50 years. Not happening. It's just not. Even if you talk about those that have houses, I mean, I've dated women that have houses for a while. Okay, what's the true identity of, or what's the true flexibility of that equity? Can you cash out? No. You can only use a percentage. Mm-hmm. So okay, so just because you may have $400,000 in equity, so that means your head, you better than the next person? You know, let's be humble about this. What can you truly do with that equity? So my point is, there should be, your mind should forever be, as Trapper talks about, think beyond your 9-to-5 income. Mm-hmm. Even if you're doing extra jobs, overtime, whatever it may be, bonuses. Let's detach from strictly the 9-to-5 dependency. What investments are you doing? Do you have Weeble on your phone? Robinhood on your phone? What we doing? You know, so those are the conversations that I did have when I was in that dynamic, which I'm no longer in. And I just was firm, man. I wasn't letting nobody take advantage of me. You know, I'm gonna do my part. You know, when it came down to, you know, whether it was the groceries or a large percentage towards the mortgage, what else came into play? Whether it was gas, just small stuff. You know, well, not necessarily small stuff, but there was a large bulk of the bills that I took responsibility of because of me just being a provider in nature. So, but everybody's situation is different, and you should never compare your household to somebody else's because everybody's dynamic is different.
100%. All right, so I'm adding one more wrinkle, and then we'll go to the next topic on this. So,
no problem.
Men typically would see an attractive woman and go talk to her, figure out who she is.
Gotcha.
She could work at McDonald's, and we don't even know.
Gotcha. Right?
But then guess what? We continue that most times because of, you know, mental attraction, all these things. I can build this person up. Right? Would you support somebody who hasn't or who doesn't have it together? So maybe they might be unemployed, but you've seen them out. You got the space, letting them build. Like, is that something that you would do?
Ooh. At this big age, me personally, I think I've Lord willing, approaching my 37th birthday, everybody's tolerance level is different. So for me, I can't do the unemployed. I just can't.
Yeah.
You know, just because I feel like if you in your 30s and you unemployed, what's going on? What you doing?
She content creator.
Nah, ain't gonna work for me. You know, because there's so much fluctuality or uncertainty related to your income. You know what I mean? Like, nah, you're not stricken on 1099. We're not doing this. No. I think that one, they need to be able to articulate what their plan is from a financial standpoint. Again, you meet people in different seasons, different timing. You know, if you meet that person and they're which I've like to rephrase in between blessings, okay, cool, let's talk about it. And as you said, if you feel as if you're attracted to this person on this level to where you're willing to make the investment, because that's ultimately as men, that is what we're doing. Are you making the emotional investment, the financial investment, the emotional investment? This is what requires that. So for me, at the age I'm at now and the things that I've accomplished relative to education and employment and where I'm trying to go in life, that just will be detrimental to my growth. You know, me attaching myself to a situation like that. You don't have to necessarily be where this is where it's at. You know, this ain't your end goal, but let me meet you in a space where you're transitioning. You're working towards wherever you're trying to go. And naturally, because of my personality, I'm going to want to assist anyway.
Yeah.
You know? So I just think there has to be, you know, if you're not where you want to be, you need to be transitioning to that space.
Okay, so that was going to be the last wrinkle I threw. Okay, so say she was in school to be a nurse or whatever.
Gotcha.
Maybe she's in her first, whatever they call, I don't know what they call it. But she don't have no finances yet.
Gotcha.
And, you know, for me, like I say, my age range.
Right.
So it's sometimes I might fall into that situation where it's like, damn, you know what? Okay. Here's where I can step up masculinity.
For sure.
As a man.
Gotcha.
Leadership, set the foundation,
Indeed.
etc. But like if we talking about 30 plus, like it's discernment there.
Right,
like,
for sure.
Like what happened?
Right, exactly.
Let me hear your story. You know what I'm saying? So it does matter, 100%.
Indeed.
So I think that was a good enough conversation about that.
Gotcha.
Dating is just a tricky subject. I think we need a woman on here to come in. I need to hit that other side.
There it is.
Once we get that going, man, I think it'll create that real good dynamic of femininity, masculinity.
Gotcha.
But speaking on masculinity, man, I think in this day and age, we're trying to define it. It's, as I referenced at the beginning of this podcast, with what we saw our parents go through, uncles, brothers, granddads, etc., dads, that masculinity is a little bit different now.
Right.
That assertiveness sometimes is too aggressive, right? Courting looks a lot different.
Right.
The conversations and the leadership just looks a lot different. So if we're defining masculinity in 2025, how would you define it?
Man, I gotta pull this dude up just because it's fresh in my mind.
Yeah.
They were actually on a talk show recently. Let me see, without taking up too much of your time.
No, you
Jason Wilson. I said it right, Mr. Jason Wilson.
Okay. Let me see his picture.
Remember, I referenced this guy.
Oh, that's a dude.
Yeah.
He was doing a little swing thing with the little kid. He was telling them, "Don't be anxious."
He does karate.
Okay,
does
that's
karate.
him. That's him.
But
I follow him now. I do.
Gotcha.
I do.
Him and Jalen Rose were on. I forget her name, man. I'm not big on the talk shows, but they were talking about masculinity, and the point that he made that stood out for me was, we are no longer just protectors and providers. We're no longer you can't attach me to just that. Where's the intellectual side? Where's the vulnerability side? Where's the opportunity for me to address whatever my trauma is, whatever my mental health issues are? I just think now that as time goes on, there needs to be a transitional phase of what masculinity is. It's not strictly pay the bills and just make sure you're the protector of the house. No, it stretches beyond that.
Yeah.
You got a brain.
Yeah.
You know, so it ain't just that's the simplified way of defining masculinity. Now is, you know, from a family standpoint, you know, are you emotionally available for your kids? Are you mentally available for your kids? And if you're not, how do you go about getting to that point? The number one thing that comes to mind now, what I think should be attached to masculinity, is grace. you have to give men grace. I think a lot of times, and I'll only be surface level with my own personal experiences.
Mm-hmm.
Some of my success has worked against me relative to my ability to express my masculinity, and from a family standpoint, things go left, they go left, big dog. And it goes left, man.
Yeah.
And I just think that a lot of times it goes back to your discernment, your choosing of a mate. You're choosing people that are in a competitive space with you as opposed to seeing you as a leader of the family. If they don't believe in that, then what makes you think you're going to reprogram this person? And that's my fault. That's where I have to give myself grace and say, okay, well, what made you make this bad decision? Let's start from the top. You never seen nobody do it. So if you never seen nobody do it, so what makes you think you're going to make all the right decisions? Give yourself grace, big dog. Understand that although you may have the intent, have the resource, and have the intellect to display being a protector and provider for your family, you got to be given the opportunity.
Okay.
You got to be given the opportunity. And your intellect and your desire and your intent has to be embraced. They have to, you have to create that environment from a therapeutic standpoint and from a deep communication standpoint. So for me, it's ongoing, redefining what masculinity is for my family. And here's the thing. Your masculinity practices are going to be different from mine.
That's what I was just about to say. So, because you're viewing it from the family standpoint. I ain't even in the family lifestyle yet. So I'm a single man trying to identify, lead myself and lead the woman of my choice.
Gotcha.
So, this goes back to some of the things that we referenced earlier. Picking a date, right? Making sure, like you say, the security of your space and the awareness, and it's a whole bunch of different dynamics that, as a single man, there's no real exposure to that right now.
Gotcha.
Unless you follow somebody like that who's going to give you that conversation, but there's no real mentorship though. So it's you molding yourself day in and day out, trying to figure out what defines me as a man and how can I be who I want to be as a man. Because if you go back to what we referenced with social media, if you follow 80% of women on your page and 20% men, men ain't even posting that often. And if they are posting, I ain't even gonna get into that today. They not posting in the sense of guidance. It's rare few that's doing it. Right?
I agree.
So the women dynamic that you're seeing when you're viewing the post is like, oh, let me post a picture of the food. Let me, do workouts. Let me, what is called, get ready with me or whatever, right? So as a man, it's like, damn, like, how do I show up as a man in the social space, personal space, work space? It's not a lot of us, and then it's different dynamics too when you talk about male masculinity, because there are different dynamics with different groups now. I'm not gonna name the groups, but you know what I'm talking about. There's different dynamics, right? So what am I seeing day in and day out that can help mold me? Nothing. It's me in my own head, my own thoughts every day. Writing in my journal, damn, I messed up with this. Okay, here's how I'm going to rectify this. Calling my homie, trying to figure out, am I making the right decision? Hell, he trying to groom himself too.
Right, exactly.
Right?
Everybody has their own journey.
Right, and like I said, I can talk to my dad, thankfully. I can talk to, my uncles and things like that, but it's just a different dynamic now.
Indeed, I agree, man. I just think it's in a transformational phase, to be quite honest. I think the expectations, for example, your dad, compared to our expectations now as men, it's just different. It's just different. And because we don't necessarily see it from a visual sense, I would assume we can get it from a literature sense. You may have to go the old school route and get some books, to where you could read up on it. Of course, you got your typical Google search, or worst case, you got your Chat GPT that probably give you some intel on it as well. But I honestly just think it's a day-for-day process.
It is. Hey, who talk about men in the healthy way that I appreciate? Ayala Van Zandt. Ayala Van Zandt. She so back in the day when I was going through my little, I guess you can call it post-depression from, being in football or whatever. Her right
Gotcha.
here.
Oh yes.
Right.
Yes,
So
yes,
she had a book
okay.
called The Spirit of a Man.
The Spirit of a Man.
The Spirit of a Man. Bro,
Gotcha.
I read that book in 2011, 2012, and it helped me rebalance myself, bro. Like, and she referenced different things like the sun and the moon and all these other things that we didn't understand back in the day. Like, we ain't study the benefit of what the sun is and how the moon helps you in certain phases. But dog, that book, it's an old book, but it really elevated me into the space that I needed to at that time period. Right?
You think it's something I can find on Amazon?
100%. Let me
Gotcha.
This is what the book looks like right here.
Okay, Spirit of a Man. Okay.
Spirit of a Man.
Yes, indeed. I'm about to get that.
And yeah, so my cousin had sent this from prison. It was a book that he read.
Gotcha.
So in that time, like I said, I don't know if I was going through anxiety, depression. Like I said, it was 13 years ago. But
Gotcha.
football already moving. I was kind of lost.
Gotcha.
So I'm looking at the bookshelf in my mom and dad crib, and I came across it. Thick book now. The book thick.
This one here.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I was like, damn, like let me read this. And every day, 10 pages, bro.
Gotcha.
I got a whole little note on here. If you look here right now, let me look at my iCloud. That's my work MacBook.
Gotcha.
Let me show you my phone, bro. Like, I actually took notes on this book.
Gotcha.
Because it helps me when I need to go back and reference anything that can really help me, bro.
Gotcha.
And that's my MacBook. Spirit of a Man, where are you? Yep. So, dog, if you look, bro, I got so many notes, bro. Like, it it keeps scrolling.
Yes, indeed. Woo.
Yeah, like, and
that's over the course of years.
I read this in one year, but I took the notes from each chapter, and I'm like, okay, what references me? So,
gotcha.
Right quick, it is important for black men to have a vision, a mission, any purpose in life, that you understand who you are. You must also know what you want to do and why you want to do it. Like, just something basic, right?
Oh, for sure. It matters.
And then another line: when you are on purpose, no one can imprison your mind. When your mind is free, you can fulfill your mission and purpose. So it's just like those things.
Yes,
it was
sir.
just like,
I like that.
It was helping me kind of get
yes,
foundation,
indeed.
balance, bro. That I didn't know who to talk to at that time.
Gotcha.
Right. So
indeed. I like that, bro.
Masculinity, man.
And I'll talk about it too, man. I mean, we've touched on a lot relative to it, man. But you got to think, bro. We're in our 30s talking about this. You feel me? To where, again, where does the foundation come from? You know, where does it derive from? And school isn't going to give you everything. That's just kind of what it is. I just think it's a developmental stage. Now, the benefits of being in organized sports, which I felt as if we should discuss a little bit too, is football teaches you how to be a man, only faster compared to a civilian. That's just the reality of it. Whether it's discipline, self-esteem, you know,
momentum shifts, ups and downs.
Right. Balance, I guess, developing tough skin, you know, a sense of team, composure, selflessness. There's a variety of things. And what I've been able to do is, because I'm transparent about mine, man. I made a bad investment, and that bad investment has kind of did a 360 on some of the progress that I did, that I've accomplished. So in this current season, those attributes or those characteristics that I developed from football, it's beneficial to me present day. To include those that may express doubt or try to talk down to you. Man, listen, I've tenfold what you've done. I've hand over fist money you've made. What the hell can you tell me? You know, in most cases, your haters are going to be those that are less accomplished. That's just the reality of it. But it goes back to the masculinity part as well, because if you don't see yourself as a whole man when you look in that mirror, you got problems. So for me, going back to, like we talked about before, that gym is medicine. That gym is therapy. I live in them. Not necessarily for strictly to work out, but because if you're not in here, if you're not in this building, what are you doing to make sure you strengthen your mental? And that gym is going to help release endorphins, which is going to create that creativity for the next venture.
Yeah.
And that's where I'm at. So taking from football those attributes and just redefining what masculinity is. If you don't go through no hardship, what is life? And you're going through a hardship at 30. So some of the conversations I've had with guys that I don't really talk to, I keep to myself for the most part. I've had several conversations with people. So you mean to tell me my life is over in my 30s? Stop it, man. I'll see you on the other side. That's just what it is. When you couple that with church, when you couple that with a spiritual foundation, bro, I'm going to get there. I'm going to get there. Even down to what we're doing today. Yeah. It's based upon creativity, finding somebody that's like-minded and saying, I am beyond this season that I'm in. Okay. So,
okay. And last thing on this topic, before we transition out. So how do you practice masculinity in your day-to-day?
Good point. One for me is the Bible.
Okay.
Rather, it's mostly, and I wasn't somebody that was, my mom, we wasn't a big church family growing up, so I have like certain scriptures that I'll read. In addition to that, I'll try to throw in some sort of motivational video, whether it's your Eric Thomas or maybe some random person on social media that's giving motivation. Or the app that I use. I post something about the motivational app every day, and I'll just take a quote, and then I'll say something myself on that quote, and then I'll post, to my page or whatever. Of course, as I said, the gym. And then I try to attach productivity to it as well, because I feel like if I hit the areas of, from a physical standpoint, from a spiritual standpoint, from a creativity standpoint, those things exhibit masculinity that's going to be beneficial to my children. It may not be present day to where they see it, but I know where I'm going. This is my journey, and I've embraced it all. That's my daily thing. No,
I like that. For me, I think it starts with who are you when no one is looking at you, which is so powerful. I think, do you have discipline to get up and go to the gym?
For sure.
To even drink some water throughout your day, you know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
I always reference that, but it starts with, are you grinding when the eyes can't see? I think that's a big form of masculinity. For sure. But and don't get me wrong, that also translates for women and how they do things too. But
for sure,
for me, starting with that point, and then as you mentioned, creative outlets, right? How am I being able to converse and get these things outside of my head, like this platform? For sure, read the Bible. I haven't been as strong on it because I've been getting it from different avenues, right? Gotcha. Whether that's Wall Street Trap on Tuesdays at the beginning of his show. Shout out to Trap. And then Myron Golden, gotcha. he has some really good motivational things I listen to daily. And then of course my church on Sundays. So indeed. Leading through that, and then I think being a man of your word is a good form of masculinity. Just leading through integrity, discipline, and then I think, man, outside of that, it's also just conversations.
For sure.
How are you sharpening your iron?
Right.
To continue to build who you are. So
indeed.
That's kind of how I practice it.
For sure. Man. Solid, bro. Solid. Indeed.
All right, man. We got a couple more minutes, man. So let's go ahead and reference. Where's my note at? And we kind of touched on it today, so we ain't got to dive too deep into it, man. But work-life balance.
Yes, sir.
It don't exist for me. I'm being honest. It don't exist.
I mean, what I would say to this is being on the surface level, just urging you to, when I hear that, knowing the role that you play, speak on your responsibility to your employer, to where this is your current space. I think that will help create clarity for others.
So you say speak on my responsibility?
Yeah, because I think that's why you kind of have the approach that you take. Without going too far, some things you may speak on.
Don't get me wrong, right? I'm off every Sundays and Thursdays.
Gotcha.
So that is a sense of work-life balance, right? I know what days I'm off, what I'm able to do and accomplish.
Right.
But yeah, outside of that, I will say my job does give me a lot of good leeway with being able to prepare my day, whether that's having my schedule 3 weeks in advance.
Okay, sweet.
So already knowing what's coming up, right?
Gotcha.
With vacation hours, sick hours, being able to use them in certain ways
Gotcha.
to protect my mental health,
Indeed.
right?
Indeed.
I think also just using other resources, like we got things called Lyra or the Happier app, like for your mental.
Indeed.
So that's a good way to kind of rebalance it and center myself.
Gotcha.
But outside of that, so work-life balance, I think the gym is the focal point, right? So being able to schedule my day around the gym and not schedule work around the gym.
Gotcha.
So the gym is my focal point. So whether if I'm working a 2 to 11 shift,
gotcha.
I know when I'm hitting the gym.
Gotcha.
Or if I'm working 1 to 10, I know I'm hitting the gym. 8 to 5, knowing I'm hitting the gym.
Gotcha.
Because that's the center of how I become balanced.
Gotcha.
Then I think nowadays, I think with everything kind of having like inflation or just a raise in how the economy is moving,
right?
You got to be able to create your own diet,
right?
You know, meal prep, right? So that'll save you a lot of time along the way.
Gotcha.
Trying to always scramble and find something for lunch, and you got 1 hour, you can gain a lot of your time back if you got your lunch prepared.
Right.
Okay, cool. It's only going to take 20 minutes to eat most times. If
Gotcha.
you already got it prepared,
for sure.
Then boom, read a book, call your girl or your dude. You know, enjoy the show that you want to enjoy. So whenever it is present in that space, however you need to.
Indeed.
So it's a lot of different things that embody work-life balance.
Gotcha. Man, for me, I think this for me is ongoing. I think once I got to a point in life, my emphasis was me first. So that gym, that's where I'm at first. If I don't have an 8 a.m. obligation to where I gotta be present related to work, I'm at that gym. That's just what it is. 7:30, I'm in the gym. I'm ready. I'm all. This is religious for me at this point, bro. I'm in the gym because, as I said, it's not just one. It's a discipline and want to desire. I get up typically every day 6 a.m. But I emphasize me. And the point of it is when I speak to just because I'm pretty much to myself in the gym. But if I do have a conversation with guys that I usually see, we'll fist bump. What's up, bro? I see you in here today. We present. But it's about longevity. How can I control the controllables relative to my health? This is how you get it done. Whether you're hitting a treadmill, free weights, the machines, whatever, sauna. Get in that gym, man. Make that your wife before you find your wife.
Right.
And then when you find your wife, y'all in there together. That's how I see it.
Yeah.
And then as far as with work, man, I think through the years I've developed a skill set to where just working hard at all. I know what I'm doing. Now, granted, you know, Lord willing, getting opportunities to get promotions, whether that's, you know, becoming a senior or a supervisor, whatever. Okay, then I'm gonna have to reshift some things because now it's just not about me, you know. But when you, for me, it's a little bit a different dynamic too because I have to add in daddy duties as well, which is forever changing and not concrete at all. And as we talked about from a masculinity standpoint, I'm not perfect at all, man. I've made a ton of mistakes and going to make future mistakes. But it's still an emphasis on family. But I just think overall, it's not necessarily a percentage without being too long-winded. It's just finding finding a balance between prioritizing yourself, your body, your mental, you know, whether that's seeing the therapist, going to the gym, as you mentioned, drinking water, healthier lunch, you know, and then as far as work, doing the work, but understanding that, and I said I had this saying, and even I remember even in college, man, all heroes dead, man, or seriously injured, for real. So all that trying to go over and beyond, stop it, man. Let's call it what is a spade, especially if you're salary. Come on, man, chill out, do your work. You know what the expectations are. Plan ahead to where you're not scrambling, but emphasize yourself and have those daily practices that's going to get you to those later years in life to where you're even eligible for retirement or mandatory or running that business, whatever it is. Last point I'll make relative to my job, whenever there was a dynamic shift. Whenever I would interview guys that were CEOs, their health was disastrous. Heart issues, high blood pressure, whatever it might have been. There was a lot that was aligned with, they were not making sure that their body was right. They were so focused on the money.
Right.
And I try to emphasize that in my daily routine as well. Because naturally, you know, there's a attachment to wanting to have that financial freedom. You know, that's just what it is. But find the balance between, you know, taking care of your mind, body, and spirit, you know, while pursuing your financial goals as well, relative to a job or your own business.
Yeah.
So it's ongoing for me, man, and I'm enjoying the process.
I like that, man. A couple of things that you said. Set boundaries. Like if you know the gym is your top priority, similar to mine, like that should be your point of reference.
Indeed.
Same thing when it comes into the workspace. Everybody said your salary just
man, do what the people tell you to do, man.
right. But I mean that goes in alignment with, you know, like what are your values? Like what are you leading through when you step into different spaces?
Right.
So if you're coming into work, if you know one of your values is communication and support, how often are you, you know, lending that hand? How often are you communicating early to support?
Right, for sure.
If it's come to being a family man when you get home, support and care. So just a lot of different things, right?
Indeed.
But yeah, man, so set boundaries, have intention, and lead through who you are. I think it's very powerful, man.
Solid,
very
bro.
Powerful, man. But yeah.
1 in the books.
1 in the books.
9 in the books.
Now episode 9 in the books, baby.
Yes, sir.
Man, so next week I'm gonna be in Detroit.
Okay.
Kendrick Lamar show. I also got some other obligations. So I'll be going for a week.
Yes, sir.
So we'll try to get one in, if not Thursday, Friday, man.
Okay.
I think we'll try to get one more show in. I know we're already been missing some, you know, some stability here, man. But
no problem, bro.
I appreciate y'all tuning in. Like I said, open to the feedback.
Indeed.
Share, like, comment.
Please.
And allow this space to be something that you come to and breathe and just continue to expose yourself to get to a different dynamic in life that you're looking for.
Indeed. I concur.
Y'all be good.
All righty.